I'm Paul Dennett, the City Mayor of Salford, and I'd like to talk to you about the Chancellor's autumn statement. While the statement provided some welcome news, there remains fundamental financial issues threatening services, residents and our communities. Whilst I publicly welcome the Chancellor's announcements on the local government housing allowance rates, it doesn't address skyrocketing rents in the private rented sector here and now. In Salford, we continue to experience significant increases in homelessness, primarily driven by escalating costs in the private rented accommodation and also no-fault evictions. March estimates suggest that there will be significant increases in families and single people in temporary accommodation without a permanent place to call home. And there are also long-standing concerns about the costs and the pressures on adults and children's social care budgets, which are also spiralling as a consequence of increased demands and the costs of providing support. We need funding to be in place to support our youngest and our oldest vulnerable residents. Also, the increases in temporary accommodation are financially crushing Salford's City Council. We need government to urgently address the unprecedented pressures on local government services. We can't continue to expect our local residents, especially the least well-off in society, to continue to pick up the tab for 13 years of cuts and underfunding in local government. We'll continue to do all we can to protect the most vulnerable residents, but we need government to listen, but more importantly, to act quickly and provide commitments for further and fairer funding in the December local government budget settlement.
I'm disappointed to say that there is very little new for local government in the Chancellor's autumn statement, with no new funding announced beyond the anticipated increases. We have been calling for some time for a long-term fair funding settlement for local government based on need deprivation levels to address inequalities. This is an important ask. Our medium financial strategy showed cuts needed of over £36 million by the end of March 26. On top of the £240 million savings made since 2010. This has brought significant pressures on the council and our services. Crucially, as the 18th most deprived area in the country, this has brought greater hardship as we struggle to support people's needs, particularly in housing and social care. Whilst extra funding for social care grants announced last year were confirmed, there were no additional funding announcements to cope with the increasing pressures across adult social care and homelessness. In fact, there was a near total absence of any reference to adult social care. The increase in local housing allowance rates are welcomed and will support the most vulnerable in our society, affording rising rents. However, it is vital that the government does not reinstate the freeze in the future. The Local Government Association has said that it is critical that this higher level of subsidy is available as local authorities spent £1.74 billion supporting 104,000 households in temporary accommodation. The government continues to fail to properly fund vital local services, and this is a false economy, letting down the people who need those services the most. Government cannot simply continue to pass the burden onto local council taxpayers.